Quite a few significant news this week to report from Russia, with the most significant being potential new mobilization of Russian men coming up. A big one this time. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. Welcome to Fridays. I give you crazy news update straight out of the mad circus that Russia has become every Friday. But first things first, there is no such absurdity that could not be realized in Russia these days. Don't forget about that. And the news, call them crazy news from Russia, the news of Russia that matter and that you will not find in any mainstream media. I'm gonna do something different today. I'm gonna give you my personal take on things, which I usually don't do in crazy news updates. But in between the news, I'll share something very personal. Let me start with China and its service called AliExpress. I'm not sure if you're familiar with AliExpress. It's a marketplace of manufacturers, big and small, in China that you can buy anything and they ship it all over the world. Well, AliExpress has been madly popular in Russia for years now. And AliExpress has stopped selling certain computer components to Russian users. Again, Russian users, big and small, people and companies, including the military industrial complex. The largest cross-border marketplace, the largest cross-border marketplace has banned Russian customers from ordering this particular computer components, DDR4 and DDR5 random memory, RAM, as well as M.2 standard solid-state drives. These products have disappeared from the platform. It happened on February 25th, and it is unknown when they will be available again for customers from Russia. The first to speak about this issue was a blogger, a computer columnist, Sergei Chorny. He noticed hidden restrictions for Russian users known as the shadow ban, when that prevented him from ordering M.2 SSDs and DDR5 RAM. Other reporters, later confirmed this information after discovering that these components were no longer available for purchase by Russian buyers. These components are used in all kinds of military hardware, including drones. And this isn't a small news in my eyes. This is yet another example that China is striking back. Small steps like banning Russians from ordering certain stuff from AliExpress. But this is not the only step. Small and big, and there are a lot of them. There have been many steps already, and there will be more. Next news is well, I don't even know how to categorize it. Judge for yourself. Alexander Bastrykin, the head of the investigative committee of Russia, that's an equivalent of the Attorney General in the United States, has publicly said that more than 650 Russian civilians have died since the beginning of the war. Well, they basically were killed by drones, by fragments, by fires, explosions, and so forth. After Russia's President Vladimir Putin's decision to start a war against Ukraine, 652 civilians have died. 652. That's the exact number. Well, they were killed in Russia, including 23 children, That's according to Bastrikin. He also added that another 2,980 people were injured. And among those injured, there are 169 children. Now, I clearly remember the day when Russia attacked and invaded Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin made a speech. And he clearly told us, everyone in Russia, us, Russian citizens, that Russia was attacking Ukraine. He made that decision to attack with the goal to increase the safety and security of Russian citizens. Because for some reason unknown to us, Ukraine all of a sudden started imposing a huge threat to us, regular Russian people. And Putin, of course, only was protecting us by making that decision. Well, is this the increased security and safety? Well, tell it to the families whose members were killed or injured. Tell it to the parents of those kids. Yeah, tell it to them. Do you dare telling it to them, looking into their eyes? Another news is, folks, опричники. Do you know what опричники is? Опричник, who опричник is? Russia's troubles started about 400 years ago with Ivan Grozny, Ivan the Terrible. Okay, he basically became the first ruler with absolute power in Russia. Because before him, Russia was, well, sort of a republic. Okay, and then he became the first oppressor, the first dictator. And, well, he became the dictator not overnight, but over the years. And he used the force called опричники. The Praetorians, the bodyguards, the Secret Service, name it whatever you want. But they were known for just executing people, and they were very cruel. They were torturing people at the order of Ivan the Terrible, and they were seizing all properties and money and giving it to Ivan the Terrible, okay? In Russian history, опричники is a swear word, okay? Not good people. The demons. In the United States, perhaps the best you can get to опричники is those people in the past in the white clothing with capuchons going out after certain people. I'm even afraid to say that name. Okay, I'm afraid YouTube would ban me. But you understand, опричники is not a good word, and опричники were not good people. That was scum, the animals. Well, until 2025, I guess, because there will be опричники in the Vologda province. Опричники, this new group of people, will be engaged in the formation of moral guidelines for young people. The decree on the creation of the autonomous non-profit organization called опричники was signed by the regional governor on February 26. The local Ministry of Youth became the founder of this non-profit organization. Based on the document, this non-profit organization will provide services to create conditions for social, cultural, intellectual, physical, and other development, the formation of a system of moral and semantic guidelines for young people, as well as the formation and strengthening of the all-Russian civic identity of citizens. Among other things, the опричники will begin to hold educational, cultural, historic, sports, and other events for young people. Well, I have a question here. Do people who came up with the idea, do they know history? Do they know what опричники in Russian history means? Do they know it's a swear word? Do they know that everything bad that we had in the country of our in the past in the past of our country, the опричники is the worst, and they resurrect this word, this term, and then they name the new organization responsible for forming the moral principles of young Russians, and they name it опричники. Now, I've heard that music before. In the USSR, there were organizations like that. They were trying to form us as a good citizens, Soviet citizens. It wasn't pretty. Well, I guess it's all come back into Russia. But you know what? No one in the old country, in the USSR, no one would never call such organization опричники. This is extremely tragic and funny at the same time. All right, the next piece of news is about economy. Not much about the economy today. I'm gonna be doing standalone streams about that, but just I've identified this news as important. The government, Russian government, noted this past week four-fold slowdown in Russia's industry. The peak of growth has been passed, it said. The growth rate of industrial production in Russia slowed down sharply in January, the Ministry of Economic Development reported on Wednesday. According to the results of the first month of 2025, the industry increased output by mere 2.2%, almost 4 times less than in December. That was 8.2%. And half of the average for last year, 4.6%. Now, this is where it gets interesting. According to the statistics, the military-industrial complex continues to produce tanks and bombs and missiles and ammo and other stuff military in 3 shifts. For example, the production of so-called finished metal products, that's what they call tanks in the statistics, finished metal products, jumped by 33.1% in 2024. And other vehicles jumped by 36.9%. No, I'm sorry, that's on year-to-year basis. That's in January, okay, just in January, because a lot of advanced payments were given in January and February to Russian military-industrial complex, and they, increased the output. However, outside the military-industrial complex, factories and plants in civilian industries are beginning to experience problems. And I'm quoting Russian government, and my opinion is that they're not beginning. They started experiencing problems a long time ago, and I've spoken about that. Now their problems are big. Furniture production fell by 2.4% in January. Clothing and footwear production decreased by 3.4% in January, just in 1 month. And the growth rate of food industry slowed by half, 2% versus 4.1% last year. Steel output, and folks, don't forget that we're talking not in units, but in rubles. And there has been official inflation by 9.2% last year, and this year inflation is beating records, setting records. So if we take inflation into the consideration, we're going to have even worse numbers, much worse numbers, okay? What would be right is to count in units, but they don't do that. Obviously, that would be disaster. Steel output decreased for the for the 10th month in a row, and in January decreased by 2.7%. And that's just steel, while total metallurgical production fell by 1.7% just in January. The peak of growth in the Russian economy seems to have passed, says Finom economist Olga Belenskaya. A number of enterprises and industries are experiencing problems amid slowing demand, a significant increase in the percentage in interest rate burden, lower exports, and rising costs. Well, no shit, geniuses. I think it was pretty obvious 2.5 years ago. I have been talking about that for 2.5 years, and this is just me, a guy sitting in front of the camera, having access to public data. Okay? All these tens of thousands of economists employed by Russian government, by the central bank, by the ministries and so forth, what were they doing? Now they just start waking up saying, oh, we started running into problems. No shit, geniuses. Now, they're just confirming my words, what I've been saying for the past 30 months. Hey, the worst is yet to come. Now, moving on to the very sad news. And I've reported about that a couple months ago. I reported 3 months ago, and I reported quite a few months. First time in the past, second time not too long ago, and now one more piece of news. Businessman Andrei Kotov. He was accused of organizing tours for queer people, tours outside Russia, to Thailand, to Africa, and to other countries. He will be tried posthumously after his death. His lawyer, Leisan Manapova, told publicly, she made a statement. Andrei Kotov, he was 48 years old, was the head of the Man travel agency. In November 2024, he was detained, accused of organizing and participating in an extremist organization. According to investigators, the company created by Kotov was engaged in organizing trips where propaganda of LGBT association took place. Kotov himself denied these accusations and stated many times that he was engaged exclusively in tourist activities. The businessman was arrested on December 2nd, and almost immediately he was sent to punishment cell in a pre-trial detention center. And one of those days, the staff of the detention facility did not take required medications that were brought to him. He had to take it every day, and he died. He was found dead in Vodnik pretrial detention center in Moscow at the end of December of 2024. Then the investigators immediately told that Kotov allegedly committed suicide, of course. They killed him. They killed him openly. They were torturing him, and he made accusations, he filed complaints, and they killed him. And the investigation decided not to close the case after the death of the accused, and they still plan him to take him to court, even him dead. His attorney says. Kotov's legal representatives also did not apply to dismiss the case. I don't know what to comment here. What was that guy innocent of? Being gay? Well, in Russia before, some time ago, it was not a crime. Many Russian high officials are gay. The rumors are running wild about that. And all of a sudden, now it's extremism. The guy was organizing tours for gay men in Russia and sending them to different hotels. He did not participate in the tours himself. He was just providing services, and he was accused of a very serious crime that he did not commit, and they killed him. That's what Russia has become in 2025. Insane. Let's move to a very odd topic and very disturbing one at the same time. And it's very new to me. And I'm sharing this information. When I saw it yesterday, I was kind of shocked and shaken. I don't know, how many of you are using ChatGPT or other programs like that? I'm not a big expert on AI, okay? I've tried to use it a couple times. I don't use it day to day. Okay. I know how to use it. I've seen others doing it more and more. Okay, and then people are so happy about using it, but not me. But anyway, something interesting. I'm sure that in the future I most likely will be using it. So this is what I found out, and that's disturbing. Okay. Western neural networks have become the target of Russian propaganda research. Check this out. The Russian disinformation network Pravda published 3.6 million articles last year, most of which were processed by leading chatbots such as ChatGPT 4o by OpenAI, Claude, Anthropic, Meta AI, Gemini by Google, and Copilot by Microsoft. So I bring to your attention a publication on tracking these things. The publication is called NewsGuard Internal Network. And it answers questions related to specifically formulated queries. When it did a test on all these chatbots, okay, when formulating responses, chatbots reproduced false narratives spread by Pravda in 33% of cases. The researchers' findings are confirmed by a February report of the American nonprofit organization called American Solar Array Projects. Now, folks, I want you to be careful here because I've stumbled upon this information. This is the second company, American Solar Array Project. It also has information. It confirms. This draws attention to the fact that the main purpose of this network is the manipulation of AI technologies. And it says that during the 3 years of the war, Pravda managed to spread at least 207 disinformation narratives, including about secret American biolabs in Ukraine and Zelensky's abuse of US military aid. Now, I can tell you that both are fake. I have fact-checked. I have double-checked. Okay, I have not found any abuse of U.S. military aid, and obviously there's no secret American biolabs in Ukraine producing mosquitoes, the war mosquitoes that were in Russian propaganda. They were labeling about 2.5 years ago that they found biolabs, American biolabs with war mosquitoes. It's a biological warfare against Russians, okay? So I want you to be careful about these publications. I am, because I don't know whether they are legit or not. I tried, as far as I as far as I understand, they are. Okay, that's why I'm giving it to you, this information. There is a chance that it might turn out not true, but I believe it at this point. I will keep my eyes on this subject. I think it's very important. If it is true, then it is atrocious. And this is yet another example of us seeing how Russian propaganda works. Now they're trying to get into the AI, and more people using these things. And more people, to me, it's just getting lazy, just saying a question, and instead of researching, getting all the information from AI, let's say ChatGPT. Thing is, it's okay if you fact check it, but a lot of people don't. So be careful, but this is very disturbing, and I'll be on the lookout for more information about this. And the next piece of news, I'd like to talk about Russian war veterans. Yeah, there are plenty. They are in the front lines right now. They're fighting, but some actually come back home, and well, that's how they become war veterans, I guess, when they, sent home and they're not in the army anymore. So there are people like that already in Russia. But guess what? Surprise, surprise. No one wants to hire them. This information is not official, but I have dug it out. Many companies do not want to hire the veterans, and they are left without jobs, without income, and with traumas. And the government does not help them with medical care, also very scarce medical care. So these people are stuck. And I found this information from the Patriot community, Vaincore. They are complaining now. They say, we've been told about this many times, and to be honest, it surprises us. Many people are returning from the front lines who, before being sent there, were qualified specialists and brought benefits to the civilian life. And now, no official data, but they don't want to hire these people back. What happened to them? They haven't lost their qualifications. They just gave their duty. They served their country in Ukraine. They defended Russia on Ukrainian soil, right? Again, no official data, but I believe that. I personally would never hire anyone coming back from Ukraine. And I wonder, why would anyone else hire such a person? I would stay away from a person like that as far as I could. In life, at the store, at a movie theater, and definitely would never hire a person like that. So that is another problem that is on the horizon, that is very new, but it exists. And I think it was predicted. It's just the first time we're facing it. Now, I want to share something personal with you. There are 3,100 people watching this live. Thank you for coming, and I'm very upset. I usually say in my live streams, this is Konstantin, this is Inside Russia, and this is how usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian, that's me. And here you will not find any lies, you will find truth and so forth, and you will find emotions, because I'm a human being. Well, you know what? I don't have any emotions left. I don't know how you folks. Obviously, you are taking interest in watching news about Russia and probably about the world politics, right? What's happening in Ukraine and so forth. I want to know how you're feeling. Do you have any emotions left? Last 3 weeks have been like fire, burning everything inside me. I am very upset about two things. Of course, I don't show it in the live streams, but you know what? Hey, I want to share. I want to offload at my shoulders. I am very upset about the war in Ukraine continues. And no, I don't want truce. I don't want peace on conditions of Russia. That's called surrender. I want peace in general on the terms that satisfy Ukraine. And I think it's very possible, but it's not happening. No details why. I think you follow the news. But that upsets me a lot. And the second thing, I'm very angry. And this is global and this is huge. People start turning onto each other. They start fighting. They've become isolated. They become two camps. Life, the society is becoming black and white very fast. And what I don't understand, people don't want to listen to each other. They all of a sudden have closed to other people's opinions. That's a disaster. When I first came to the United States of America, I learned a lot of things. And among those things, one of the first things was everyone had a right to own opinion. And it was okay to have your own opinion. I remember a lot of Americans, I would speak to them, my broken English, terrible English, and they told me always, look, I disagree with you on something, but I will die protecting your right to have your own opinion. And after Russia, it was so liberating. It was so fantastic. I absolutely loved it. But now I'm seeing this thing shutting down. And that is upsetting me beyond belief. People don't want to listen to other people. They don't want to look at facts. They don't want to fact check. They just set on their opinions. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, and they fight. I'm always open to other people's opinions as long as they can understand, they can explain why, based on what they form their opinions. But anyway, these two things are very upsetting, and I have no emotions left. I'm sorry. I've emotionally drained. Thank you for coming and supporting me. Your support, you watching, I see that more and more people join in the live stream. This is very important for me. Without you, I would be in a worse place. Mentally, emotionally. So thank you. You are helping. My family is helping tremendously. My children and my wife and you. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been incredibly hard, and I appreciate your prayers, your love, your words, liking videos, commenting, communicating with me, and saying, Konstantin, you're right or you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong. I love to listen to your opinions. If you think I'm wrong on something, let me know. I read the comments, not all, but I read a good portion of them, and just explain why you think I'm wrong. And I hate when people just start fighting without explanation, okay? So anyway, again, thank you so much. Thank you for buying coffees at buymeacoffee.com. Thank you for Patreon, for PayPal. These are the only means that I exist now because I've been demonetized by Google, and I'm sorry, I was going to release a video, but this big news come up and they're so important that my video kind of gets bumped further and further. But I've created a video about, I know why Google demonetized me now, and it's very painful for me. It's very hurtful. So anyway, thank you for your PayPal payments, for Patreon, for Buy Me Coffees. Much, much appreciated. Thank you. Some people buy one coffee, which is fantastic. Some people buy 3, 5. Once in a while, someone buys 10. This is just beyond belief. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Personal off my shoulders. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry for this. By the way, no, not it. I'm gonna give you a personal recipe how I deal with madness that is happening right now around us. Me and my wife, we've decided to stand together, face whatever is thrown at us. We are living on based. Our lives are based on four values: God, family, hard work, and freedom. We stand on these values. We're not gonna flip flop no matter what. We're not going to change. We're not gonna turn code. We're trying to be the best parents to our children and the best children to our parents. Um, and then we'll try to do the best we can. So this has helped me a little bit. So think about that. Perhaps that's something that might help you too in this time because my head is spinning. Okay. All right. Enough. So thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to tell you the next piece of news. Capital punishment, a very tough topic. You know, there's no capital punishment in Russia. Russia joined the European Union, no, not Union, European Commission, Совет Европы, the Council of Europe, I'm sorry, the Council of Europe about 20 years ago. And one of the conditions was that Russia had to abolish capital punishment, and it did. People are not prosecuted; they fall out of the windows. They die, commit suicide in cells, like this fella, the travel agent, but they officially do not execute people. That might change. Every second Russian supports the return of the death penalty in Russia. That's FSIOM. That's a state-owned company that does questionnaires and surveys that showed that every second person in Russia wants death penalty to be back. 49% of the surveyed participants supported the lifting of moratorium for capital punishment. 26% of Russians supported the preservation of the moratorium, meaning no capital punishment, and 15% supported the complete abolishment of the death penalty. Guess what they punish for? Now, in the United States, I know that in some states there's punishment, capital punishment, and that's eye for an eye principle. If one murders a person, then in some states that fetches capital punishment. And that's the only thing I know why other people are executed for. In Russia, do you know what a Russian receives, what sentence receives for first-degree murder? 7 years in prison. No capital punishment. First-degree murder. Cold-blooded murder. 7 years. If you're, in prison for the first time, you get off easy. Now, who will be executed by this new capital punishment law? Guess who? The traitors. Those who betrayed Russia. Those who are the enemies of Russia. Not the murderers, not the rapists, not the cannibals, no, God forbid. Those who dare to voice their opposition to Vladimir Putin. Those who want to change the government in Russia. They are the target of capital punishment when it returns to Russia, and I forecast it will return sooner or later. The next piece of news is rumors. These are unconfirmed rumors. I don't know how to confirm them, but they come from different sources. And if it's just one rumor that I cannot confirm, I usually disregard it. 2 rumors, I start noticing. 3, 4, 5, oh boy. It means there's something about it. So the rumors are coming in en masse. Kia, the South Korean car manufacturer, has started preparing to return to Russia and is already looking for employees. The only media reporting this is Izvestia. It's a newspaper and internet site. It's state-controlled part of propaganda, but it's official. They gave their sources and they made it official. And there are also rumors coming. The company has placed vacancies for technical consultant and dealer marketing specialists in its Moscow office. That it never closed completely, by the way. And another company from South Korea, Hyundai Motor Group, promises to resolve the issue with the Russian market, meaning to come back to Russian market, by the end of the year, by the end of 2025. Now, again, this is something I will be watching very closely. Please keep on tuning in for more news about the Western companies coming back to the Russian market. By the way, these news come out every day. This news of this importance come out every day, and I think that it's very important if you are interested to know things about Russia, to stay on top of things Russia. It's important you follow the news, but where to get the news? I've come up with Formula 54. I carefully select 9 news every day, and I post them in my Patreon account, available for patrons of Inside Russia, along with my commentaries and analysis. I will keep you informed on everything you wanted to know about Russia but didn't know where to ask. Now you know. I'm going to leave the link down below in the comment section. It's going to be a pinned comment and also in the description. So after the end of the live stream, please check it out. The positive feedback is enormous that I receive. People like it. There are quite a few patrons receiving daily news. Give it a try. It's not that much. That tier started at $3 per month. The next piece of news proves that one should never ever trust Russian government. I mean, it's obvious, right? Obvious. Well, to some people it's not. Ex-prisoners released and pardoned by Vladimir Putin for fighting in the Russian army in Ukraine are widely recognized as AWOL now, absent without official leave. This happened with the military from the 1st Battalion of the 1st Company of Military Unit 95-378. Check this out. These people are handcuffed. Dozens of prisoners were taken out in the back of a military truck somewhere in the front lines in Ukraine, all handcuffed. According to the sources, they were taken from their positions and put in a punishment pit, where they were beaten and threatened and tortured, threatened with murder. And then they were taken to an unknown destination, and neither relatives nor colleagues were able to contact any of those men. And later, it became clear that all these soldiers that you just saw had been assigned to the status of AWOL, absent without official leave. The AWOL status deprives ex-prisoners and their relatives of almost all payments from the Russian government. There are dozens of messages, well, hundreds of messages from relatives in thematic Telegram channels and groups of just that. They exchange the information. And the military commanders do not even hide this practice and claim that is an order from the very top. Mark my words, most ex-prisoners released and pardoned and sent to Ukraine will be either killed or, sent to be killed, or after the end of the war, they will be returned to prisons where they came from. That's what happens when you trust Russian government. That's just another proof. The next piece of news is hugely important. Again, please mark this one down. We've got to remember this, all right? I definitely remember it, and I'll follow this. If you follow the transformation of Russia, and most of you obviously do, as you're watching this right now, mark it down, please. This is something that's never happened in Putin's Russia, first time. Gazprom's top managers, former top managers from Alexei Miller's team, Alexei Miller, the head of the Gazprom, they have been charged of embezzling 150 billion rubles. That's roughly 150 million US dollars. 150 million US dollars. Two top managers, well, former top managers, are wanted by the law enforcement. Most likely, they have left Russia. Frunzensky District Court of St. Petersburg has registered a lawsuit by the Deputy Prosecutor General against the former and the current top managers of Gasprom Group, demanding to withdraw their assets to the state, according to the head of the Joint Press Service of the city courts. The lawsuit is filed against Kirill Seleznyov, who headed the joint venture of Gazprom, and Rusgazdobыча, Alexei Mityushov, the former CEO of Gazprom Energo. According to Interfax, one of Russia's news agencies, which refers to a copy of the lawsuit, the Prosecutor General's office suspects former Gazprom managers of embezzling at least 150 billion rubles from Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat. That's one of the daughter companies of Gazprom. All of them were under their friend, a good friend. This guy right here. He happens to be Putin's close friend, one of the closest friends, trusted friends. Some people call him Putin's wallet. Former colleague of Vladimir Putin from early 90s. His name is Alexei Miller. He is, again, Putin's a member of Putin's closest circle. A dozen or so people right next to Putin with direct access to Putin at any time. Miller's people were always untouchable. Everyone knew that. Everyone also knew that hundreds of millions of dollars were stolen left and right, in the past 20 years from Gazprom. I witnessed money being stolen from Gazprom. I told stories. My company was working building power plants, and Gazprom was pulling out dirty tricks with businesses right in front of our eyes. I talked to people who suffered from Gazprom's actions, and I know people who stole millions and millions and left Russia, so it was a public knowledge. Always people knew that Gazprom about theft. But you know what? The friends of this guy always had immunity. They were untouchable. And now they are being sought to be placed under arrest. I don't believe that the prosecution is digging under Miller or, God forbid, Putin. No. Putin has absolute power in Russia over prosecution as well. I believe that Putin has started digging under Miller, perhaps just in case, perhaps to have something official. He needs a reason to get rid of him easily when he decides to get rid of him. What's important of this case, why I'm emphasizing it, is the big spiders have come into play now. The spiders have started biting each other in the closest circle. And the biggest spider is also somewhere already in the game. it shows us that the period of political instability in the closest circle, what's called rocking the boat, and it's not actions of enemies, the USA, Europe, or Ukraine, whatever. It's internal power struggle. I believe that the political instability might be on the horizon, and we might be seeing the first signs of it. All right, before I move to the last news, I'd like to ask you a favor. Let me know what you think of this news selection. Please pick one, even three news, even better than one, but at least one, and let me know which one do you like the most. Helps me tremendously, gives me feedback, and directs me to better the channel in the future. Thank you so very much. I appreciate commenting very much. The last news is about mobilization, just like the title says. Before anything, before I say anything, I want to emphasize one thing. Nothing is clear now. In the last 3 weeks, the world has turned upside down for me. It's spinning around my head. My head is spinning and the world is spinning around me. Okay? Nothing can be predicted or forecasted now. Things change so fast. I don't know what to make of some things now, The latest news came that the US administration is thinking over deporting 240,000 Ukrainians with permanent protection status that the US administration gave to Ukrainians 3 years ago. That's just an example. Okay, I really have a hard time processing this. Now, the world is spinning, but among other things, there have been signs appearing on the horizon for possible mobilization in Russia. Another one. The first mobilization started in September of 2022, and it has technically never stopped. It's still going on, although it has slowed down tremendously. For the first 2 months of the mobilization, it was like hot time. People were mobilized, hunted on the streets left and right, taken up from out of their homes. And then they slowed down. Recently, I started seeing the signs of another mobilization, and I want to share this signs with you. Let me know what you think of them. Last 3 weeks have changed everything. The US administration has flipped its view, its stance, and turned against Ukraine and the President Zelensky. All US military aid has been stopped. That's the fact. Everything has been stopped, including US providing intelligence data to keep the skies over Ukraine safe. Those actions have changed the mood of Russian elites, political elites and business elites. The following is coming from the sources of inside Russia. This is what I've been notified of. The future suspension of hostilities does not promise a political thaw inside Russia. Tight control over the opposition and public opinion will remain and will tighten, as the authorities intend to play, I quote, play the geopolitical game for a very long time. All the talking at the level of political elites is about, in the last 3 weeks, has been about the continued mobilization of Russian economy. And this is what they call turning Russian economy into the war mode. And the re-equipping of the military-industrial complex. Re-equipping or re-equipment, I'm not sure what's right. But anyway, they want to change everything. They want new weapons. They want new hardware. They want new technologies. Okay, and that is the aim now. The intensification of this topic of lifting sanctions from Russia by the USA is not a conversation about peace, but about rearmament of Russian armed forces. There's a growing belief among Russian government foreign policy experts that American president will, this American president, the 47th one, Donald Trump, it's going to be his last presidential term. And after Donald Trump, there will be a new president, new person, who will become a less convenient figure for the Kremlin, which means that in 4 years, a new stage of confrontation will begin. The available time, 4 years, must be used for total rearmament and military modernization, the creation of new strike groups, the creation of new army, a real strong one, and preparations for a war that may have a new territorial shape, new front. Once again, it's not me speaking. I just quoted my sources in Russia. And it all makes sense. Now we have illusion of what Russia wants is peace, okay? But in reality, what Putin plans is expansion. He wants to expand Russia. His plan now has changed completely from probably a few years ago. He wants the empire to grow. If things go his way, he will overtake Ukraine first, then Poland, then the Baltic states, then the rest of Europe, and then he will overtake the USA. In the past, I would say that's a crazy plan. Oh, come on, there's such strong armies, NATO, Article 5, and so forth. You know, come on, that's Constant, you crazy. Now, I don't think that's crazy anymore. In the past, it would never work. Now, the Article 5 of NATO agreement, and I remind you, Article 5 is if someone attacks any NATO country, under Article 5, all countries get into the war with the attacker, right? That's the biggest thing about NATO, right? That's what keeps everyone safe. So now this Article 5 is under big question because the Americans are saying that the future of NATO is not clear and so forth. Right now it's uncertainty. And now Putin's plan seems more realistic than before. One thing I'm absolutely sure about, if Europe falls under Putin completely, including the UK, the USA will definitely fall after. Let's go back to Ukraine. Step number 1 for Putin is to overtake Ukraine. And now is the time. He needs to push hard. The USA has stopped supplying air intelligence information to Ukraine, and now Russia, since this morning, Russia is controlling Ukrainian skies. They have launched the biggest airstrike on energy facilities and other facilities, and it's terrible tragedy this morning, okay? And they weren't opposed by anyone. The next thing Putin needs to do is to push further into the country and take more land and ultimately take Kyiv. How can he do that? Guess what? There's only one way. Russian army doesn't have much armor left, much technology there. There's not much technology there. Russian army is in a bad shape. They are using donkeys for resupplying right now. Oh, come on. That shows us it's not in great shape. Is it possible for them to push right now at this stage? Yes. But with one condition. By throwing millions of Russians into Ukraine to flood Ukraine with flesh of Russians. And that's where the next news comes. Starting March 21st, 2025, in just a few days, the immunity from mobilization will cease to exist for the most citizens that now are immune. Why? Well, it falls perfectly into this picture. Vladimir Putin now has something at his hands. He can change the view of the war for Russians. He has a victory. The conflict of Ukraine and the USA, that is his victory. Vladimir Zelensky being kicked out of the Oval Office, that is the victory. Now he can stand up and say, hey, the war has been worth fighting for because this is our goal. Ukraine has been the vassal state of the United States no more. The USA has given up on Ukraine. We have finally liberated it from American influence, okay? And now we need to push and we need to unite for Russia and so forth. We need to, this is just the beginning, but this is it. This is to show you what's going on. So he sells this as a victory to Russians. And then he can place the country into the war mode officially now, because now there's no war, just a special military operation. But after he announces victory of the SVO, special military operation, he says, no, we need to unite, we need to pump all our resources into the military to protect ourselves, and so forth. And he might start the next wave of mobilization. Now he has something to explain it with. I'm not saying it will be done, but what I'm saying, the signs, more and more signs, are there every day. And guess where I had to find this information? Now, this media source is called Glavbuch, the chief accountant, because this is a very, very niche media, and it's printed and read for accountants and read by accountants because they follow the change of legislation. And only here I could find the official data, the decree of the government from May, 5th of June 2024, number 766 will go into force on the 21st of March 2025. You see, Russian people don't know about that. That's insane, I know. But they don't know about that. I tried to tell them, a couple people I know, they didn't believe me. I said, look, this is the government decree such and such, just do the fact checking, okay? It is hidden. It is not secret, not top secret, not declassified, okay? But it's just not given to Russians publicly, this information. No one knows that the immunity is going to be nullified very soon. And what is the immunity? About 1 million Russians, myself included, I was among those people, started fleeing Russia right after the announcement of the mobilization. Few came back, most still outside Russia. And Russia lost a huge amount of qualified workers, engineers, doctors. State companies lost a lot of employees. They just got up and left. And then the Russian government came up with immunity, said, don't worry about being mobilized. We'll get you a get out of jail card. The immunity. The mobilization center, the army, they will not touch you with this card. Okay. So they issued a number of these cards to IT programmers, project managers, to qualified personnel. And that's been in effect since for the past 2.5 years, this thing, the immunity, and it's going to expire. But it's going to expire secretly because they made a decree, but no one knows about it. So after March 21st, it's a fair game for anyone. The government can take anyone easily, and if a person shows get out of jail card, then it's not valid any longer. You see, I find it as a huge sign of the government trying to prepare the conditions for a very efficient mobilization, because the last one was not such efficient. The last one, the government agencies did not communicate between among each other well, and what happened when you were served a paper obliging you to go to the mobilization center within, like, say, 48 hours, you would take it, you would run to the airport, and you would just get out of Russia. And the passport control people, they didn't know that you were served paper. Now they do. Now they're well prepared. They have changed the mobilization system. They have unified database right now. They are closing. They've created the laws that make it so much simpler for the government to mobilize people, and this all coming together. Okay, and this government decree, this decision to nullify the immunities, it seems that it falls into place as one of the signs that shows that something big might be coming to Russia soon. Definitely will keep my eyes open for this. I will monitor closely, and I will tell you everything here in the live streams, in the community posts, and in Patreon. Please keep on tuning in. Carthago delenda est.